Can you tell which one was made with the stamp and spin tool and which one was made with the stamp wheel? I don't see a difference. Can you see a difference? I thought it would be fun to do a quick comparison between the new stamp and spin tool that was released last week and the Altenew stamp wheel, which has been around a little longer. Let's start with the price. For the stamp and spin tool, you first need the stamp and stencil tool, which seems to be around $60. The add-on stamp and spin tool is about $40, so $100 in total, which is about the same price as the stamp wheel. I bought my stamp and stencil tool when it first came out, and I also bought my stamp wheel, but I was given the stamp and spin tool so that I could participate in the Catherine Pooler Hop earlier this week. If you want an intro to both of these tools, I have separate videos that I'll link here and below in the description. Okay, let's get to it. First, the new stamp and spin accessory. Remember, to make this work, you need to also have the base. If you've already seen my video earlier this week, you'll notice right away that I've changed how I'm using my sticky sheets. Since I mostly stamp in the center, I was removing all the stick from the center, but not from the two ends. So I figured I would cut my sticky sheets in half and hopefully get twice as much usage. I will keep at least one hole so that I can do larger pieces if I want to. The sticky sheet often transfers its stickiness to the back of my panel, and it's the one thing I would change about this tool, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. When you stamp with this tool, you get 8 turns. There's no stopping halfway to get 16. That's because of the click-and-place mechanism, which, let's be honest, is fantastic because you cannot get it in the wrong place. If you want 16 turns, you'll have to move the stamp and then turn 8 times again. In comparison, the stamp wheel has 16 petals, and all 16 placements are precise. Because I want alternating colors, I'm skipping petals to get 8 at a time here. I've numbered my petals because without the numbers, I found that I was easily confused and forgetting where I was in my turning. That never happens with the stamp and spin tool, but my numbering on this tool has made it much easier. So here I'm doing all the odd numbers by putting the correct number in the bottom center position when I stamp it down. The other big difference between these two tools is, of course, the movement to stamp. The stamp and spin tool has that door design, which feels very familiar, although it is quite big and you're reaching quite far out to ink it up. With the stamp wheel, you have to pick up the wheel and turn it over to ink up the stamp, which is a less familiar motion and was exactly why I ended up numbering the petals so I could more easily keep track of where I had already stamped and what came next. Now, I did find another issue, not really with the tool itself, but the fact that this is a two-hand job turning that wheel. I need to hold the handle with one hand and turn the wheel with the other, and that means I had to put down and pick up my ink pad each time, and I was finding it awkward to turn the ink pad and ink up the stamp. In the end, I fixed this by putting my ink pad upside down on my desk, lid down, and then I could pick up the ink pad in a comfortable position and ink up my stamp and then put it back down in the lid. This fix works for both tools, although you may end up having to wipe off your ink pad lids a little more often. Yes, both tools can be used without spinning as a simple stamp positioner for your sentiments or image stamps. They both have the ability to allow for restamping when you don't get a good impression the first time, and also to position a stamp in the same spot when you're making multiples. The stamp and spin tool has no corners for you to use to help line things up, but that means the free edges allow for you to stamp on paper even bigger than the tool. The stamp wheel does have corners, but you can't stamp on anything bigger than the 7.5-inch tool base because of how the wheel sits in the base. Both tools' sticky surfaces will grip a stencil over cardstock as long as the stencil is bigger than the cardstock. The stencil and stamp tool has 2 pegs that allow you to use the Sizzix layering stencils that have holes in them to get perfect placement. And there's an adapter system as well for stencils that don't already have this feature. Now, having used both of them today, I can't really say that I like one of them better than the other. I would say you probably don't need both, and honestly, if you don't like to spin, you probably don't need either one. I hope that's given you some more information for making your decision. Let me know below if you have any questions and I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.